You look beautiful. I love the curled hair today. Makeup. I think we both have it on. We have both hair, makeup today. We're winning.
Crazy day.
Well, I'm really excited to interview you today. Let's go. So,
It was fun interviewing you last week.
yeah, that was fun. It was really fun. I like how it turned out, actually. I didn't know because
So good.
I rushed from that to a meeting, and then when I was like, "God, I hope, like, I even said anything that was anything worth putting on a
No, all of
podcast."
like the little reels I made for it have been awesome and are getting lots of engagement and everyone
Cool.
is really loving it. So you killed it.
Good. Yeah. Yeah, I'm, like, not on social media, so I don't know what social media life looks like right now. 15 days in, and I still have to, like, post for the studio, so I use, like, Business Suite and just do it off my computer, but it's the scroll. It's, like, not going in the app and scrolling, and maybe that's why I just have felt calm. I was saying, like,
Yeah,
off camera, like, I just feel this calm that I'm not used to feeling, and I don't know if it has to be related to that.
totally. I feel like social media is so stimulating, like for your nervous system. And so to not be on it, especially for 14 days, not only is that like you're taking away that constant stimulation, you're also probably sitting more and just like silence or your thoughts or things that are more calming.
Yeah, for sure. A lot more calm and time and rest. I think that's the other thing. I've been sleeping really good. And that's like something I read is that the research shows that like social media does disrupt your sleep because, like you just said, it's your nervous system. And I've been sleeping a lot. And I'm like, what's wrong with me type thing? Like, am I sick? But I think it's just I'm getting really good sleep and my body is like not in that state of fight, flight, or freeze, or just the nervous system isn't up to where it usually is, so then therefore my body's like, "Oh, it's time to sleep." But also I'm like, "I gotta work. I can't sleep all the
There's
time."
also something there with like the blue light, like people who are on social media or on their phones at all, like as they go to bed, that blue light disrupts because your eyes, right? Like naturally, when the sun goes down, there's less light in your eyes, and that triggers your body to want to go to sleep. But when you keep that bright artificial light in your eyes after the sun's gone down, it messes with your circadian rhythm. There's a lot of science around that.
Yeah, you're right. Love that. It's definitely gotta be something because it's just wild what this is doing. So, well, I'm excited. Let's dive in. Today, I'm so excited to introduce my amazing friend, co host of the Beyond the Marley, choreographer and owner, founder of Bree Choreography, the Coronado Cougarettes head coach, entrepreneur, mama of two beautiful boys, amazing wife to the wonderful Rob, and so much more. I'm so excited to get to know our co host, Bree Acosta. Yay! Welcome,
Hey,
Bree.
hey. This will be fun.
This will be fun. Well, as you know, our first question from John Wooden on leadership, he says, there is no education like adversity. So, with all the incredible success you've had, we want to know what has been the biggest struggle to get to where you are today,
Man, you think I would have prepared for this question knowing it's coming, but
right? It's all good.
haven't thought about it till this minute. So biggest struggle to get where we are. I mean, I feel like it's different in each realm. Like coaching wise, I'd say one of the biggest struggles to get like Coronado to where it is now, honestly, has been parents. My beginning years, especially I was really young when I started coaching. This is my 11th season with them. I'm 32 now, so I was 20, 21. I think I wasn't even 21 yet. I might have just like barely been 21 when I started coaching them. But like I remember getting a lot of pushback from parents and a lot of parents, demanding meetings to want to know like why their kid isn't in this spot or why their kid's an alternate or where their money is going and stuff like that. And navigating that, I think was like my biggest struggle with Cougarettes to get them from where they were when I started to where they are now. And now, like, our parents are great. They're the best. They're like all on board and just like really, really amazing. But it wasn't like that in the beginning. And that's something that I like hear a lot of coaches talk about now too, newer coaches especially. And they're like, oh, the parents. And I'm like, huh, been there. Here's what to do. And then choreographer wise, man, I mean, that's been such a journey. And so I'd say the biggest struggle, I think most choreographers say the same thing, is just that initial step of like, am I good enough to do this? Right. and overcoming that fixed mindset of, am I good enough? And entering more into that growth mindset of, the more I do it, the better I'll get. So I'd say separating those two realms, that's what it would be for coaching, and that's what it would be as a choreographer.
You said you started coaching when you were 21. I'm curious, knowing what you know now, let's say there's a 21-year-old coach out there listening right now. What what would you tell your 21-year-old self? Go back to being 21, knowing what you know now today.
I think the first thing is like, don't give up, right? Like, just keep going even when it's tough. And then on that same topic of parents, my advice is identify your crazies early and make them your biggest supporters, right? Like, every team has the cave parents, CAVE, citizens against virtually everything. I literally had a mom one time. It was a mom of a JV girl, and JV didn't go to nationals, so I wanted to like do something special for them. And we're in Las Vegas. And so I said, let's go down on the strip. We can go to like the Jabberwocky show and like stay the night together in a hotel suite so that they get an overnight experience with their teammates, and just trying to like do something special for JV. And this mom, she says, well, Coach Bree, like the parents aren't comfortable with their kids staying on the strip. And I said, no problem. We'll stay off the strip. We'll go to the strip for the show, and then we'll stay in a hotel off the strip. And so I book a hotel off the strip. And then a week later, she goes, well, I just don't understand why we're not staying on the strip if we're going to the Jabberwockies. And I was like, all right, identify the cave person, citizens against virtually everything. It doesn't matter if I said we were staying on the strip or we're not staying on the strip. This person wasn't okay with it, right?
Mhm.
Fast forward, by the time her kid was, through varsity and graduating, like she was the biggest supporter and biggest advocate for the team, because it was identify the crazies and befriend them. It's kind of like that idea. I don't know if this is a good comparison, but keep your friends close and your enemies closer. Identify the crazies and make sure that they're crazy for the team and not crazy against the team, because they're going to be crazy one way or the other. So yeah, that's my advice to the young coaches dealing with parent issues. Identify the crazies and make sure they're crazy for the team, not against the team.
Citizens against virtually everything. I
Cave
can
people.
cave. Oh, I can relate to that in so many ways. And I know
No matter
everyone.
what you do, they're not happy. It's not you, it's them.
Yes, yes. I had someone once say she was an older studio owner. Like her name's Louise. She's just this amazing from South Africa, lives in Chicago. And I remember her saying, well, you're not ice cream. And I'm like, what? And she's like, people don't even like, not everyone even likes ice cream. So what makes you think they're going to all like you? And then I think she's also said before, like, you're not chocolate. And she's like, again, not everyone even likes chocolate. So what makes you think that everyone's going to like you? Like, oh, let's go to choreography. Let's start there. You said, I'm not that growth mindset of like, am I even good enough? What's your advice to someone out there that is coming out of college or not necessarily out of college? They're just ready to choreograph. What do? They go from, there's that shift from I dance and I dance and I dance and see people teach me the choreography to maybe I've done improv in my dance class. Hopefully I've done improv in dance classes, but that shift happens. When did it happen for you? How did it happen?
Study and practice, right? Start choreographing. I've always loved choreographing. Like, even on my high school team, I was choreographing routines for competitions and showcases and assemblies and all of that, because I've always loved it. And then I always tell like my dance team kids now who want to get into choreography, I tell them, practice. And how do you practice? Initially, like, the work you're doing is for free. You're not getting paid when you're training, right? Like, same idea when you go to college. You don't get paid to go to college and learn and practice whatever it is. You pay to go to college. And it takes training, and it takes time, and it takes practice. And so reach out to maybe local schools, local studios, and volunteer your time. Hey, I'm would love to get in and choreograph for your kiddos. Is that something you'd be interested in? And the more practice you can get, the more you can build up your portfolio. And once your portfolio gets to a point where you have some good work in there and you've learned all the things, then you can start sending that to coaches who have hopefully seen your work somewhere, right? And are reaching out to you at that point. Another thing is study. Like, when I was first starting choreography and trying to create competitive dance team routines, I would go and I would watch the top. I'm a very logically minded person. Like, I like numbers and I like data. And so I went and I watched like the top 3, say, medium jazz routines at NDTC. And I had a chart. and I wrote down, like, how many seconds were they all doing the same choreography? How many seconds was group work? How many turn sets did they do? What turn sets did they do? How many full team skills did they have? How many small group skills did they have? How many solos did they have? Where, if I like had a box and I had my pencil and I'm drawing like where they're going around the stage, what does that look like? And I did that for the top 3 routines in a handful of different categories. And then, and not, I wasn't like necessarily looking for a formula, but I was trying to learn, right? And so I was able to take so much away from that watching these top routines. Another thing that I did to learn is I would take my formations app and I would watch routines that I thought were staged really well, and I would draw out the whole routine staging on my app just to see like what that looked like on the app, right? I would take routines, and this is when I was like really, really just starting. So I would watch routines that I really liked and felt inspired by. And then I would like find a different song and say, okay, like what, like, I love this vibe. What if I take what they do really well and try to create a routine to this song to it? Right. And I would do that for like a showcase piece or something, but just to create and play and learn and grow. And so my advice to anyone wanting to get into choreography is do that. create, create for free, um, and learn and study and And also remember like the growth mindset versus fixed mindset, right? Fixed mindset is I'm either good or I'm not. That's not real. Growth mindset is you can get better at anything you practice at. A good growth versus fixed mindset story that I had to like call myself out on is when I was doing choreography, when I first started, I shouldn't say first started, but once like I started getting like a lot of demand, I had people asking me for hip hop routines. And I just like not my number one. We'll just say that. And so I was like, "Ah, no, I'm not good at hip hop." But I was like, "No, because how am I gonna get better at hip hop? By doing hip hop." And so I started saying yes to these jobs and bringing assistants with me who had just a stronger hip hop vocabulary than me, and then also using my strengths with like staging and knowledge of the score sheet and visuals and all of that. And ended up like one of my national titles is 2021 large hip hop for NDA.
Yeah.
And the fact that that's like on my resume as a hip hop national championship is like crazy, but it was one of those moments where I had to call myself out of like, you're being fixed mindset by saying you're not good at this. Like, let's be growth mindset and see how we can grow in this instead and make it the best it can be. So if you want to choreograph, that's another thing is don't tell yourself you can't.
Oh, I love that growth mindset for sure. And I think it's really important that you talked about building a portfolio, but volunteer your time. So when it comes to volunteering, you had said, like go out, volunteer. Like, hey, can I reach out? Like, hey, can I volunteer my time? I feel like, and maybe this is just from a studio standpoint, maybe it's just me. I don't know. I just feel like volunteering is becoming less and less versus like want to get paid for their time type thing. So I don't know if you see that
Yeah, I
happening.
see it. And I think there's a balance, right? Like, yes, you should be compensated for your time. It's all about the value. What's the value you're bringing? And what's the value you get? Like when I would go and volunteer my time with teams, I wasn't getting paid monetarily, but I was getting paid in experience and feedback and portfolio work. You know what I mean? Um,
Yeah.
I wouldn't have gone, like, I wouldn't do that today as much because I'm bringing the value now that, like, I know what I'm doing. I bring the value and then they pay for it with money versus before it was they were the value that they were providing was just the opportunity. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But yeah,
Yeah.
no, I see that a lot. I'll see people apply for the agency and they have like nothing in their portfolio and they're like, I want to charge $2,500. And I'm like, for what? You got nothing. What are you charging $2,500 for?
Yeah. I think that's okay. So this is a conversation. Ooh, I'm going to be vulnerable. This is a conversation I've had with actually some choreographers and some people that are just out of college that they're a dancer and they're out of college, but they haven't maybe had that choreography experience as like, this is a team, here's your team choreography, like you're in charge of it. But because they've been on a college team, they then come in and I feel like if you've been, especially like on a D1, any college team, but a top performing college team, like those choreography jobs are coming in thick. Like you're getting requests. And I don't know if it's a shift of like, well, you danced on this team. So therefore come choreograph for my team. Just because they danced in college doesn't make them the best choreographer. But I also understand that there are great dancers coming out of college and are great choreographers, but their resume still is like it's just like anything, and you get out of college and you have to build that experience. And yes, you have that technical training. I just think that like what is being asked for as compensation is really high and getting kind of out of hand. Like you just said, like, oh, I don't have experience, but I want $2,500. Like, what? Like, that's a lot of money, right? That's a lot of money. And so when someone's choreographing and asking for way more than that, in the 3,000, 4,000, 5,000, I've seen 6,000 before, asking
I've
6,000, and
seen 10.
you've seen 10. I've heard of 10,000 that some teams are paying for that, and it's absolutely wild. I mean, kudos to the teams that can afford that, but 99% of the teams out there cannot afford a $10,000 choreography fee. And it just comes down to like what you talked about, like experience. Like, yeah, if someone with years and years of experience that has demonstrated that they are working with top performing teams and they're getting those results, maybe that amount makes sense. Maybe it does, maybe. But I think it's just really important for those that are getting into choreography business to have realistic expectations and with the compensation. But I do think that I love your idea of volunteering first if you're like brand new. Like let's say you're in high school and you're like, I want to choreograph, like volunteer your time for your team to do a sideline, stuff like that.
I was gonna say I have a kid on my team on Cougars right now, and he really wants to choreograph and he wants to be a professional dancer and just be in that industry all in. And he's choreographing like our JV home routine and helping with varsity's home routine and helping with varsity's competition jazz this year. And all of that he's doing for free, right? He would never ask for payment for any of that. Now, this year he is charging people for solos, as he
Okay.
should,
Yeah.
um, because he's great. But like when I first stepped out of like doing free work and started charging people, one of my first routines I got paid like that I traveled and did. I did for $0, drove my own car, paid for my own gas, stayed at the coach's house, and set a routine. That was my first like it wasn't a real job because I didn't get paid for it, but like real, like I'm traveling somewhere, I'm choreographing for someone. My second one, I got paid $500. Again, drove my own car, paid for my own gas. They did get me a hotel,
Yay.
but like $500 for a competition palm routine for a high school team. The next, like on that list, or the next step for me on that was $750. I went and I did one of like the first studios that I worked with was like, or bigger studios. Like I had more jobs before this, but one of the first bigger studios I worked with was 5, 6, 7, 8, and I charged them $1,500 for 2 routines. And they paid for my flight, they paid for my hotel, and in my mind at that point, I was like, "Let's go! Like we're doing it, right? We are
Yes.
like getting it done." And I mean, fast forward, and eventually, they were hiring me for their world's routines. And so, just like being okay with starting at the bottom and working your way up. Like you don't
Mhm.
get to just graduate high school and then get like a world's level team handed to you.
Right.
Actually, here's something else. Every single national championship that I've won, I worked with the team before they had ever won a national championship. And so that's something that I talk to teams about too. Like Johnson High School, I don't work with the coach isn't there anymore and I don't work there anymore. But like I've my choreography and working with them, they've won 2 national titles. But the first year I started working with them, like the year before, they didn't even make finals. And then I started working with them and they made finals. And then the next year they moved up. And then the next year they moved up. And now they have 2 titles, one for in game day and one in hip hop. That's important to remember too. Like if you've never won a national championship, you're probably not going to get hired by a team who has won one.
Sure.
You have to be a part of that journey. Like a team will bring you in and you help them get there. And now you have that resume of like, this many national titles or world globes or finalists, getting to finals is a huge deal as well. But you can't be afraid to start at the bottom.
Yeah. I love that. Be part of their journey, invest in the I think, like, invest in the team no matter where they're at. Just like as a dance teacher, you work with the dancers where they're at. Same with walking in as a choreographer. Where are they at? So, talking about the build up your portfolio, let's go to the agency. What are you looking for in an if there's a choreographer that's like, "Hey, I do wanna be part of an agency," and you talk about portfolio, maybe they've never don't even know what that means. What are you looking for in when hiring choreographers to build their portfolios? What's a good
Yeah.
portfolio look like?
So we don't hire anyone who doesn't have a portfolio because we have to see your work. We're in we have different levels of choreographers, right? We have our apprentices, we have our professionals, we have our masters. Our apprentices are ones with limited portfolios. And we take those people under our wing and we train them. We do a retreat every single year where we bring all of our choreographers to Vegas and we train on all the score sheets, all of the rules, all of the like staging and transitions and layering. And we take the best of the best, like this choreographer is really strong at this, they're going to teach that. This choreographer is strong at this, they're going to teach that. And so we fully train all of our choreographers. But when looking through who we're going to hire for the agency, you have to have at least a little bit of a portfolio because when coaches reach out to us, the first thing they ask is, "Can you send me videos of their work?" And if we said like, "Oh, we don't have any," they're not going to hire them.
Like, is it 4? Is it 5? Like, how many is there a number? Is it quality? If you wanna be hired for a palm routine, you need to have, like, 4 solid 4 would make you a good apprentice. 7 would make you this, like or
It
is
depends
there
on the quality of the video and the routine, you know what I mean? Like, if you have 5 videos, say you wanna do Palm, you have 5 videos, and they're good level, like, there's state competitions, maybe local competitions, maybe there's a nationals routine in there, that could still put you at an apprentice level. You have 5 routines and 3 of them are you have a D1 college team and a finalist NDTC team, then that might put you more in that professional level. And honestly, the agency doesn't set rates for the choreographers. The choreographers set their own rates, but we definitely consult on like, here's where I think you should be, just based on what we know people will pay. And then sometimes that adjusts through the year. Like we have choreographers who start the season at say $1,000. And then a coach reaches out and the coach says, "Hey, my budget is $2,000. We need this." And so what we do is we send a couple options. Like, here are 3 choreographers who we have who are within your budget, and here are their portfolios. And so if after a couple months, a choreographer who's at that $2,000 rate isn't getting chosen by coaches, we'll let them know, "Hey, just to let you know, like, we're sending you as a recommendation to coaches, but generally speaking, they're going with other choreographers. Maybe you want to bring down your rate a little bit." So then maybe that choreographer brings down the rate to 1,500. Now, when someone says, "Hey, my budget's 1,500, we're recommending that choreographer next to the other choreographers who have rates at 1,500 and their portfolios are probably more similar. And then we're able to get that person more jobs. That happens all the time. And it happens the other way too. Maybe someone comes in and says, "Hey, my rate's $2,000. They get fully booked for the entire season in 3 weeks. And then we say, "Hey, listen, you might want to raise your rate a little because you only have 3 spots left. Like, you're in high demand. Like, let's," because that's another thing choreographers will ask is like, "Oh, well, when should I raise my rates?" Raise your rates when your demand has surpassed your supply, right? That's like economics 101, supply and demand. When you have no more availability, but people are still requesting you, that's a sign like you should raise your rates. If you have a ton of availability that you want to fill with choreography, but you're not getting a ton of demand, then maybe you should lower your rates. That's something we consult on in the agency. But to go back to your original
Yeah.
question,
The original question of just like, what does a portfolio look like? If
yeah,
someone's out there is like, what's a portfolio? Like, how many things am I supposed to have in it? What are you what are coaches looking for to be hired?
yeah, yeah. So I think to round that all out, depends on what's in it. You have a lot of local stuff, then probably apprentice level. You have finalist national stuff, maybe professional level. And then if you have, the national titles, the world titles, then that will get you up to that master level. It just depends where you're at.
So let's talk about you told us about your journey of you started, you didn't make anything, you volunteered, then you just went up and someone all of a sudden paid for your flights, 5, 6, 7, 8. Shout out Melissa for that. But how did Brie choreography become Brie choreography? Like, how did that all when did that start? Like, how long ago did that start? When did that start? Why did it start?
Yeah. It's been a minute now, but it's kind of a good segue because supply and demand,
Yeah.
honestly. Um, the demand the amount of requests that I was getting for choreography just far surpassed what I could handle by myself, and, at that time, my assistant coach for Cougarettes was Jackie Consiglio, and we choreographed together for Cougarettes, and we choreographed, like, a lot of things together, and so when I got to that point where I was getting all these requests that I just didn't have enough time in my enough weekends in the year to get them done, and Jackie's great, and so I was like, "Hey, instead of turning this team down, I would say, hey, I'm fully booked for the season, but I have a great friend, Jackie. Here's some videos of work that she has done. Do you want me to connect you to her? Because she's great." And so it all happened very organically because then I started like throwing jobs Jackie's way. I started throwing jobs to my alumni. I started throwing jobs to other friends like China over at Basic. And it got to a point where I was throwing so many jobs to so many other people. And naturally, like we're all friends. And so we're also all helping each other grow as choreographers that it kind of just happened all of a sudden. Like here we are, a whole group of choreographers. The requests are coming to me and I'm connecting people and helping train them to be better choreographers. And just seeing like the opportunities that that provided for my friends was really inspiring. And I know that like there are so many dancers who their dream is to be a choreographer. And so I had the thought one day of like, I could post this online and like I like are the requests that we're getting in, like I still don't have enough people to connect people to, but I know there's so many incredible like choreographers and coaches who choreograph for their own teams in this country that we could help. Like it's a win-win-win all the way around in the sense of like, let's help these people achieve their dreams of becoming choreographers. Let's help connect these teams to incredible choreographers. Just they don't know they exist. And then also the win of like creating this community of choreographers who are have an abundance mindset, who know that like we celebrate each other's wins and we help each other be the best versus like, I don't know, the choreography world can get kind of like catty and competitive and it's just like not like that in BCM. We all help each other out and support each other. Like maybe that could be a thing. And so I like posted, "Hey, like we're bringing on new choreographers. Here's the application." We got like 128 applications that first year and brought on I think it was 13 people like that first year and like I said, got them all out to Vegas. We all trained together and the rest is history. Every year since we've brought on more and more choreographers and um it's just like I blinked and it happened. It wasn't like some big elaborate plan. It just like kind of happened. It was very very organic from like just trying to help out my friends to then try to like connect more people to then like let's train together and become the best we can and here we are. Like we have 25 choreographers who work with teams not just all over the country, but all over the world, work with national teams that compete at ICU Worlds and have globes from Worlds titles and wins at all like nationals. And it's kind of crazy. Like, actually, I've never like really sat down and reflected on it as much as just like right now, but
That's amazing. And that
it's
took
crazy.
how many years do you think from like you starting to today? Has that been 6 years, 5 years?
8 or 9, I'd say.
Wow.
Yeah.
And now you
And
have thousands and thousands like of routine requests and you have, how many on staff?
25.
25 choreographers. Just amazing. And I love like the abundance mindset. Like you said, like everything you do is there's more to it than just dance or just choreography. It's like creating this whole community and having that support. I know like when we first started coaching, it was like, well, if you don't do the choreography, like who does? You're like kind of like, I don't know. And you think, okay, there's this person from your city, but this is like, no, you can actually reach out beyond your city and meet new people. And I think that's what's so unique about our dance community is and how we get connected is being able to connect through dance and meet new people and have new experiences. Right. So I love it.
Absolutely. So, it's a kind of a crazy story too that I think of is like that first year when I was doing interviews, Chelsea Horn, she was in that first batch that, like, we brought on when I officially was like, "We're, fill out the application." And I mean, I at the time she was coaching Bluebonnets, and I mean, I've been watching Bluebonnets forever because 'cause they're amazing, and so, like, she submitted these videos, and I was like, "I know exactly who you are, and you're amazing, and this, like, blows my mind." And so I remember asking her, I was like, "Obviously, like, we would love to have you in the agency, like, you've created all this incredible work, your staging's beautiful, your layering is insane." And kinda tying some things we've talked about together because we were talking about rates, right? And I asked her, I said, "How much like, what's your rate? When we are trying to connect you to a team, what should we tell them you charge?" She goes, "I don't know, like 25 an hour?"
Kelsey.
I was like I said, "No, honey, you're not charging $25 an hour." But she's like, "Well, that's what I get paid now to choreograph." And bless her heart, because homegirl has globes galore because she's so amazing. And every team who works with her just, like, speaks of her so highly and their experience so highly, and she's just amazing and incredible and also so humble. And I'll never forget that conversation of just being like, "That's not what you charging anymore, girl."
Yeah. Oh, I love Chelsea. She was on our podcast early on, but yeah, she's one of those like because of having a company like Bree Choreography to then that changed her life too to like maybe I don't know at the time if this was going to be like her full-time thing if she was like always going to do dance, but now she's in such high demand. She gets to choose who she's where she's going, who she's working with, and it does some of the best work out there. And that's
Absolutely.
really helps. It just helps bring an industry that some people think can't be a career. It through this choreography and through this, like you can make this a career. Like you can teach at a studio and supplement your income with choreography income
Yeah.
and be
Or just
able
do choreography full time.
yeah,
That's
and
what
be at
Chelsea
home with your
was
babies. That's what Chelsea gets
Yeah,
to
that
do
was
now.
her plan after she joined the agency, and then she was with the agency for 2 years. I think it was the end of her 2nd year that she left Bluebonnets, and she told me, she said, "Hey, I'm not gonna be at the studio anymore, I'm just gonna do choreography full time." And, I was like, "Sounds good, we'll make sure that you're, like, booked enough to, like, be
Mhm.
solid," which she was already being booked enough to, for it to be her full time. But yeah, I appreciate that you brought that up about it being someone's full time, because so many people it's that idea of, like, "What's your job?" "Oh, I'm a dance coach and a choreographer." "Okay, but what's your real job?" "I'm a dance coach and a choreographer." And a conversation I feel like every year at retreat with some of our younger choreographers who we bring in is this can 100% be your full time. Like, build up your clientele, maybe you get 10 teams this year, and then say 8 of them bring you back next year, and then you get another 10 teams, and then 8 of those teams bring you back the next year. It might take a couple of years to build up enough of a clientele for it to be your full time, but it can 100% be your full time. That was, I used to teach dance during the day at Coronado and one of my initial goals was as soon as I can make the same amount doing choreography part-time as I do teaching full-time, I'm gonna leave teaching and go full-time with choreography, and that's exactly, like, what I ended up doing. And something else interesting there, it's a story I tell a lot of people, is I grew up being told dance isn't a career. You go to college and you get a real job, right? And I don't know, like, here I am, dance is my career. And so I think I find myself having to tell younger choreographers that often as well, is like there's an entire industry here, and if it's what you love and you're willing to put in the work and grow in it, don't let anybody tell you you can't. You have one life to live, like, do what you love. So, yeah, there's remember that too. If you're listening right now and you've been told that what you love can't be your career, prove them wrong.
Prove them wrong because it can be a career. It's not easy. Like, I don't wanna sugarcoat it like, "Oh, tomorrow you can go quit your full-time job wherever that is right now and go make this a
Well,
career." Like, it's gonna take
it's also
time.
not easy. It's not easy starting in any industry. You
No,
always start from the bottom
no.
and you always work your way up.
Right. I think when I first met you, I remember you telling me that specifically. You're like, "Yeah, I teach dance at a high school, but, like, this isn't gonna be my full-time job." Like, And I'm like, yeah, same. I think we met at the same time where I was like, yeah, same. This is not dance is going to become my full-time job as well. And I think you have to be willing to put in the work. I think you have to be self-driven because it's not like you're working for a corporation, you're working for yourself, you're an entrepreneur, you have to think like an entrepreneur for yourself as well. So, yeah, it can happen. Having agencies now like yourself is helping young people all around our industry be able to make this a career and can say, like we have kids at the studio all the time. They're like, "What do you want to be when you grow up?" They're like, "A dance teacher, a dance choreographer." I'm like, "Awesome. That can be a career just like a nurse or a doctor or whatever else career. It can be the same. It can be the same." So, and I think too, some people say, "Oh, there's not money to be made." That's also not true. Like, you can support your family, and I mean, you can make it
Yeah.
what you want to make it. At the end of the
Or
day, you're an
people
entrepreneur.
ask, like yeah, I remember my mom asked me when I quit teaching, she's like, "Well, what are you gonna do for healthcare?" Buy healthcare. "Well, what are you gonna do for retirement?" Invest in a retirement account. We're so brainwashed into thinking that you have to rely on an employer for healthcare and retirement. No, you don't. You can set both of those things up yourself, and it's safer if you do it yourself because also who's like, that employer doesn't care about you as much as you care about you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, within talking about all of this, you talked about ICU worlds. And one thing that maybe most people listening don't know about Bree is that you are I'm going to double check this, Norway.
Well, actually, so, couple things within the agency, actually. So, Troy and Marisa are coaching Norway. I think it's Norway. There's so many, like, countries up there. And then I was asked to coach the national team in the Netherlands this year, but that's getting pushed to next year, and so I'm just going up there a couple times to help do some workshops and build more interest. And then, I think Melanie's working with the national team in Ukraine.
Oh
I
my gosh,
think
that's amazing.
yeah, we have, like, a couple different international jobs this year. I can't keep them all straight, but it'll be a nice, fun BCM reunion at ICU for sure.
That's awesome. So, let's talk about ICU worlds for those that don't know what ICU worlds is. What is ICU worlds?
That's where each country sends their best, and they compete for their country. It's literally the Olympics of dance. Like, you have Team USA, you have Team Norway, you have Team Netherlands, you have Team Ukraine, you have Team Mexico, England.
Right.
Never
So,
been. It's fun.
yeah. So this happens in end of April, um, and it's at in Orlando, and like Bree said, teams from all over the world come. Last year, Team USA, Palm, and Jazz was the University of Minnesota. So but the best in the countries come in to compete and represent the country. There's like the ICU, there's like is it a senior division and then like there's like the juniors and the youth divisions as well that are
Yeah, I think it's called, like,
ice
Premier is the adult
yeah.
division, and then, like, juniors, younger, I don't know exactly all the different divisions because it's always changing, but
So you and Brie choreography is Troy and Marisa are with team Norway hip hop.
yeah, and last year, the year before, it might have been 2 years ago, they took home bronze, and that was the first time a team has brought home any medal for their country within, dance. I don't know about the other Olympic sports, but within dance, and so that was, cool seeing them be able to be a part of that history for them.
Yeah, I love that. So let's move from ICU worlds. We moved to Brie choreography. Let's move into Coronado Cougars. Who are the Coronado Cougars?
The high school team here in Vegas, we do NDA nationals, and the dancers are awesome, they work hard, and just, they're just like any other high school team, they work hard and go to nationals and try to do their best.
You said earlier that when you took over at about 21, took them from where they were to where they are now. Where were they?
The culture was pretty toxic. The old coach got fired. There were just, like, weird things, like, really weird things. Like, one of the weird things was okay, so how I got hired, the coach got fired, the old coach got fired, like, 3 weeks before nationals, something crazy like that, and I was at a competition that was hosted at Coronado, and it was, like, the week that that coach got fired, and, so I heard, like, they didn't have a coach, and so I just went up to the admin, I was like, "Hey, you looking for a dance teacher? You looking for a coach? Like, I'm in school right now for education, and if you need me, like, I would love to be able to step in and sub for you." And so Sunday night at like 9 o'clock, the principal called me and the assistant principal was like, "Hey, can you start tomorrow?" I was like, "Sure." And so I went and I taught dance all day and coached the team after school. And after being there for a week, so now we're talking just a few weeks before nationals or a couple weeks before nationals, the assistant principal saw that like I kind of knew what I was doing. I wasn't crazy, or I hit the minimum requirements at least, right? And he came up to me and he said, "Hey, can you go to nationals with them in 2 weeks?" And I was like, "No, I can't, because I coach a cheer team and they have Jams Nationals in Vegas that weekend." And he's like, "Oh, yeah, yeah, no, I understand." And then the next day came and said, "Okay, listen, I'm not giving you an option. Like, I need you to go to nationals with them." And so, I reached out to the owner of the cheer gym I was coaching at the time and let her know, like, "Hey, I'm sorry, but, like, we have multiple coaches here who can cover. They don't have any coaches, so I'm going to nationals with them." And it was crazy. Like, I didn't even have all the girls' names memorized at the time. But that was how I got started, and then from there, those first couple years are tough just adjusting the culture, and I was a super young coach, so I still had tons that I had to learn, and, yeah, that's how we started, and then now I feel like the culture is exactly where I want it. I remember at one point, it was the basketball coach at Coronado, and I said something to him about, like, I just want a team full of girls who love each other and support each other and work hard to be their best and cheer each other on in everything they do." And he literally laughed at me and he said, "Oh, well, you'll never have that. You coach high school girls." And I was like, "You know what? Challenge accepted." And I mean, that's exactly what we have now is a group, just kind of like in the agency, everyone cheers each other on. Everyone knows there's enough success to go around. That's how it is on the team now. Everyone loves each other, supports each other, lifts each other up, and cheers each other on, and works hard. And over the last handful of years, they've won 4 national championships and 2 grand national championships at NDA high school nationals. And they're just like unstoppable. They're amazing.
Yeah, your program is name recognizable. Coronado Cougarettes, like, kudos to you. I know it's not easy. You have taken that program to the top. You've taken them to the top and beyond, and I think one of my favorite stories about you is how you didn't let 2020 and everything that happened with 2020 ruin a season. Um, your kids still had the opportunity to dance. Do you feel like talking about that? Or
I think we're far enough away, right? What's the like statute of limitations? Like when you
yeah,
do things that are illegal, you can't
we're
get in trouble
wait,
for them
we're
anymore?
25. Yeah, we're almost at 26. Like, it's 6 years later. People are should be over it.
No, we didn't do anything illegal. We did it. We figured out. We found the loopholes. That's what we did.
There you go. Sometimes
But
you gotta find
during
those.
COVID, yeah, during COVID, Vegas got shut down pretty hard. We kind of followed like what LA was doing because we're so close to LA, and so that meant no dance team, right? And so what we did is we took our Cougarette dancers and we created an all-star team, and we practiced in a studio that was shut down and boarded up, but we had a key to the back door. So we snuck in. We didn't like really sneak in. I mean, like the landlord didn't know we were there, but the person who had owned the studio previously knew we were there. And we continued our season and we competed as a world's team or we competed as an all-star team and we ended up getting 2 worlds bids, went to worlds. It got 5th place in pun, I think 11th place in contemporary lyrical, and like finished out our season, and it was crazy because like these kids had nothing else. And so it was really cool to be able to get them together to have each other at least. And even at the end of the season, I remember one of the parents at the banquet, she was like, it was some of the senior moms and they said, "Thanks to this." not only did it, like, give our kids their senior year that was taken away from them, but it gave us parents a senior year that was also taken away from us. And so, I mean, that's the spark notes of that season. There was a lot of other craziness in there, but yeah, they made it happen, and something cool about that year too is that's the year that we added gratitude to one of our values for the team, or to our list of values for the team, because everything that year was just about being grateful, like, grateful that we get to practice, grateful that we get to dance, grateful that we get to compete because most people couldn't.
I think it's 5, like 5, almost 6 years reflecting on that is you did what you needed to do to help these kids have something. Like those seniors, they only got 1 senior year and you didn't give up. And that was what you said at the beginning. Like, what would you tell your 21-year-old self is like, don't give up. And I think with COVID, it felt like to everybody, you had to give up. In some teams, and maybe some people's situations, you had to. You had there you had to. You couldn't do what you were doing. Was your school supportive of that? Like, did I assume they were? Because like, otherwise they would have said no, and you wouldn't have been able to do what you did.
Communicated with our administration and told them what I wanted to do, and they told me what I was and wasn't allowed to do. Like, we weren't allowed to use the Cougarette name, we weren't allowed to use the Coronado colors. We had to open it up to anyone, not just Coronado kids, and so we followed the rules that we were given to do it without getting in trouble, and that's what we did, and what's funny is, like, you're always gonna have haters because we had people, not people, just, like, 2 people who, like, reported us and, like, would email the principal and be like, "Cougarettes are practicing, and they're doing this, and na 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 na, and so and so got sick." And, I mean, I'd communicated with my principal the whole time, and so I think he just didn't reply, or he might have replied like, "It's not Cougarettes," because we weren't Cougarettes, we were Dance Fusion All-Stars, and something that was fun about that year is because we opened up the auditions to everyone and anyone, we actually had 2 8th graders on the team that year.
Well, that's cool.
Because we were an all-star team, and there were 2 8th graders who were I already knew, like, wanted to be on the team, and so I reached out to them and invited them to join the team that year, and both of them ended up doing their next 4 years on the Coronado team. Our all-star team was Dance Fusion All-Stars, so they joined Dance Fusion All-Stars as 8th graders and then joined Coronado Cougarettes and did 4 years there, and so what's fun is we talk about, like, there are 5-year members, even though it wasn't Cougarette grade year, right? It was Dance Fusion All-Stars, that's important. But yeah. And we had an alumni on the team that year. She had graduated her senior year, and then her freshman year, she was on UNLV Rebel Girls, but, like, they weren't practicing or anything, right? And so I invited her back as well. So we had 8th graders through freshmen in college on that all-star team, all connected to the Cougarettes.
Special team, special year, and just that grit and resiliency. And if you don't know Bree and you haven't figured out by now, she doesn't give up and she will find a way. She's the most positive person that, like, if you have a problem, she's going to help you find the solution. I think that you're so solution forward thinking and you don't let the drama of it or the haters like, yes, they come. It can be hard to deal with at the moment, but you get past it so quick and so forward thinking and confident that transfers over to your kids of that confidence and and the dancers that get to work with you. And I think that what you're doing with Cougarettes, with Brie Choreography, with your studio, it's just continuing to build this ecosystem of strong-minded dancers and strong cultures. And if you ever wonder, like, how do you do both? How do you have a strong culture and win championships? Look to see what Bree's doing because that's where it's at. And I know being your friend, it's just amazing to have that like front row seat to everything you do. And just grateful that I get to know you and be in your world.
And you mentioned that, but, like, you've been a part of it all along the way. Like, remember when you came to Worlds with us?
I do remember. I still have my sweatshirt, I think, in my closet. I'm pretty sure.
So that year that we were for our listeners, that year that we were Dance Fusion All-Stars, I invited Natasha to come to Worlds with us to be, like, kind of a mindset coach for the weekend, and so she
It's the
came and
first
and
time.
guided some lessons. I remember you guided a really good lesson on, validation. Like, why do we seek validation? What does it mean to like get validated as dancers? And that was like, you've been right there the whole time.
Well, I'm beyond grateful and Um, yeah, it's so funny. I remember when you and I had met, like, you were like, I'm gonna make this a career. Like, I'm not gonna be a teacher forever." And then I was like, I think I kind of want to start doing more mindset within dance because I think I'm just so called for that. There's such a need. There was such a need in where I'm from of that. Like, that's foreign language to also where I can see the difference of, like, what positive cultures actually look like and feel like and sound like, and so, yeah, I was so grateful that I got that opportunity to come, and I remember specifically with those girls, there was something about just the love. I remember, like, one of your dancers, I can't remember which one, like, we competed, and then Monday is typically when all teams get to go to the parks because they have, like, the park passes, and she's like, "Oh, I'm doing my UNLV audition video," she needed to do, and so she, like, did it in the hot garage, and, like, if you've ever been to Florida in May, it's legitimately, like, the sun plus humidity, and there was no air conditioning in this garage, and she, like, moved all the stuff when I say garage, it wasn't really a garage, it was, like, a garage that was turned into, like, a game room, I think, or something, and she, like,
Yeah.
moved all the stuff, and she practiced and then did her
Virtual audition.
yes, it was, like, virtual audition. I don't know who that was, but,
I think it was Braylon, and then she made it.
yes, and then she was like, "Okay," and
Yeah.
I'm like, "What are you gonna do now?" She's like, "Oh, I'm gonna take a Uber to go this," and I'm just, like, was in awe of this, like, 18-year-old, 17, 18-year-old.
Yeah, she's amazing. I just did lunch with her recently, and she's just incredible. So her journey was she made Rebel Girls. Her dream was to go to oh, why am I drawing a blank? My brain wants to go Clemson because I just came back from, like, South Carolina. Not Clemson. What's, like, the Ivy League that's over there, though? That's,
Uh, Harvard,
Cornwall? Cornwall.
Yale,
Cornell. Cornell.
Cornell.
Cornell.
Yeah,
There we
Cornell.
go. Her dad went to Cornell, and so her dream was to go to Cornell, and she got, like, a delayed acceptance into Cornell, and so then she tried out for Rebel Girls, and then went to Cornell, and then ended up being captain of their dance team her senior year, and, like, really transformed that program, and now she's doing this incredible internship with this company where she gets to live somewhere different. It's within hospitality, and she gets to live in all of these amazing places every 3 months. She's in Maui right now. She was in Coeur d'Alene a couple months ago, and then she's gonna be back in Vegas in the spring, but, it's a 2-year I don't even think internship is the right word because it's a job, and they told him, like, this is your training." She's doing 2 years of training, 3 months in all these different amazing spots around the world to, like, work for this company. But anyways, that's just an update on her. She's awesome. We just met up recently.
Yeah, but, like, it's so helpful, though, because it's like you see these dancers and you see that they're goal-oriented, high achieving, but then, like, what do they do with that beyond even college? And if it's not in the
Yeah.
dance world, they're gonna go and, like, go to Ivy League schools, go to top schools, and then also, like, out of school, go and have these amazing careers, and they're able to do that at a high level because of everything they learned in dance, right?
And that's something I talk up to my Cougarette girls a lot about too, is like and I hope this doesn't come off rude, but I'm just gonna say it because it's something I say, but I tell them all the time that, like, your generation is so lazy and entitled. But if you survive this program, you get through to the end of Cougarettes and you become an alumni of Cougarettes, you to get to that point, you are not entitled. You earn things. You're hardworking. You're no excuses. You support the people around you. You have an unlimited mindset. You know anything is possible if you put in the work. You take initiative and you know how to set goals, achieve goals, set plans, and execute. And so Cougarettes, once they leave high school and once they leave college, like they all go on to do such badass things that also align with what they want and what they love. And so I tell my dancers that now all the time, like, y'all, like life's gonna be easy for you because of all these skills that you've gained through your entire life of dance, right? From your studios before as well, not just from like your high school time and also from your college time, right? And it's so cool to see that. I get my alumni together every year and just everyone shares like what they're doing and what they're working towards. And they're just all so cool and awesome. And I'm so proud of every single one of them. And it makes me think of one of my girls, Carson. I remember we were doing like a end of the year circle and talking about like what's your biggest takeaway from the season. And her takeaway was that a group of people like Cougarettes exists and that she isn't going to accept anything less from those who she surrounds herself with in college. Being a group of girls who work hard, dream big, and support each other along the journey. And I thought that was so powerful for that to be her takeaway of that season was I'm not accepting anything less than this level, this quality of dancers or this quality of friends when I go to college. And she's thriving. She graduated college last year and is just like living her best life.
I hope the basketball coach was sitting right there when she said that, because full circle, when he said you will never, and full circle, that's what someone is leaving saying about the program. That's remarkable. Well, we could talk for hours and hours. I'm really proud of you and everything you have created, and I can't wait to see what's next and these programs continue to build and the legacy that they all leave. So, our last question is, what do you want your legacy to be when it's all said and done?
I want people to be left with, if nothing else, like that abundance mindset idea of there's enough success to go around and you can cheer other people on too. You know what I mean? That's something that I instill deeply into my Cougarette girls. It's something that is a prerequisite to join the agency. That's how I think we live our happiest, most thriving lives is by cheering on and lifting up all of those around us. And that doesn't bring us down. It lifts up us up as well. And I think if everyone who goes through like Cougarettes or the agency or even the studio can leave with that, they will have happier lives because of it. So I think that's what I would want it to be is being able to spread that because I think then that leads to more happiness for those who live by that.
And with that, though, I think I know we could keep going, but like with that, Bree started an all-star team in Vegas, like the first all-star team in Vegas. And you would think she'd be like, no, like nobody else can have an all-star team in Vegas. I am the only one. But she's not. Like Troy and Marisa have an all-star team. Like you're with USASF, like how do we get more all-stars in Vegas?
Yeah. And then not to like backtrack, but a quick little like just info, not correction, but like kind of correction. So China and I both started the all-star teams in during COVID, right? And then Troy and Marisa started competing playground as an all-star team. And so then Envision, the studio that China and I opened, we were the first all-star studio. Even though there were other like kind of teams that popped up before studio, and now Troy and Marisa have their studio. And the goal is 5 all-star studios in Vegas in 5 years. And so we had 1, and then now there are 2. Maybe next year there will be 3, and then 4, then 5, hopefully. But yeah, I mean, the more all-star that's in Vegas that exists, the better.
And why? Why is that?
Because all-star is better than studio, and that's a can be an unpopular opinion. And there's studios that are great just in Vegas. In Vegas, it's hard to find studios that have that teamwork values as like the high school teams. And so it's just and all-star is just such a great in between like middle mix of high school teams and studios. It's a great combination of the two, and it also really, really preps kids for collegiate dance.
So for people out there that are like, well, I started an all-star studio or I started an all-star team and now all these studios around me are starting all-star teams and all-star good. We applaud. Like it's not a like fold my arms like don't do that. It's like no, that's good. That means that it's building and that's what we want to do and that goes back to what your legacy is that you want people the industry to have abundance mindset. there's enough success to go around and you can cheer on others and
Absolutely.
support others. And it's so cool what you're building in Vegas and beyond, even beyond. So thank you. It's been such an honor and can't wait for what comes next for Brie Acosta.
Love you. Thanks, Natasha.
Thanks for listening to Beyond the Marley podcast. Follow us on Instagram at Beyond the Marley